Hi there, Ronnie here, coming at you with a slightly different video. I saw a post on Twitter the other day, and it was from a guy who was in sort of full sort of Scottish dress. I think he was at a wedding or a function or something, and he had the full rig on with the kilt and everything. Now, I assume possibly that he was being what they call a true Scotsman, i.e., not wearing anything under his kilt. Um, Quite frankly, none of my business, no one else's business but his. Um, and he was talking about the fact that he'd had a very nice time, except for a couple of ladies who were trying to lift his kilt up to get a good look at whatever was underneath. And I used to work in a bingo hall, and we had a Burns night celebration, and the manager and the men in the front door, and I worked at the front door, all had to have a full rig. And this was the first time I'd actually had the full rig on. I'd never worn a kilt or anything like that before. And the women queuing there, and some of them were trying to lift up my kilt. Some of them were getting their sort of makeup mirrors and trying to sneak the mirror underneath the kilt. And it was laughed at like it was some kind of joke. If the role was reversed and it was a woman who was being accosted in that way, people trying to lift up her skirt or her dress, or putting a mirror or some sort of like camera or something, as it would be today, a camera on their phone, to try and get a look underneath, she would quite rightly be extremely uh, uh, embarrassed and very angry at this violation of her privacy, because that's what it is. And whatever definition you use for that action against a woman, whether you call it sexual misconduct, sexual assault, whatever term you use, I would say that it applies the same to men in the situation I was at and the situation this person on Twitter was talking about. But it made me realize, well, it's not made me realize, it clarified a thought in my head that I've had for a while. That part of the reason that sexual assault is so badly handled um, is the double standard involved. And what I mean by that is, um, if a man sexually assaults a woman, he is quite rightly dealt with by the law. Quite rightly. If a woman assaults a man, sexually assaults a man, we're just assumed, hey, oh, she was after, oh, God, yeah, you lucky dog. Yeah, she was right in for that. There's an assumption that if the man is a predator, um, and preys on and puts his sights on someone who does not want that attention, that is wrong, and it is wrong. But if a woman does the same to a guy, or no, I won't say a woman, if it happens to a man, then there's not equality. And by that I mean um, sexual assault has no gender. And what I mean by that is, whilst the overwhelming majority of uh, assumed and definitely reported acts of rape and sexual assault are men raping or assaulting women, um, there are uh, there are cases of women raping and sexually assaulting women, women raping and sexually assaulting men, men raping and sexually assaulting men. It's not about gender in that respect. But whilst we are starting to finally understand and deal with sexual assault and rape properly, with regards when women are victims, um, we don't seem to take male victims as seriously. There is progress on it, but we don't seem to. And I think, I think because as I went through and the other guy went through, it's seen as a joke. Uh, it's lewd behaviour that would never be acceptable if the position was reversed. And I'm not in any way saying, well, in that case, we shouldn't, we shouldn't take assault on women seriously either. Yes, we should. Absolutely, we should. What I want to see is all rape and sexual assault taken seriously, regardless of the gender of the perpetrator or the alleged perpetrator, obviously. Person's innocent until proven guilty. The gender of the perpetrator and the gender of the victim. The What is important in it is the fact that there has been a sexual assault and a rape, and it should be treated better. But at some point, society has to start understanding that lewd behavior, sexual assault, rape is not a joke. Um, what those women did to that guy on Twitter and what happened to me was lewd conduct. As far as I'm concerned, it should have been criminal. I was uncomfortable about it then, and I mean, I have worn a kilt twice since, both of them for weddings, and both of them when the groom's name was Alan, funnily enough. And in both cases, I was the best man, so I couldn't exactly get out of wearing the kilt, because the groom was getting married in a kilt, and the best man had to follow suit, dress code wise. But I was never comfortable, because I'm quite shy and don't have a lot of self confidence with uh, my body to begin with. But then then you get an experience like that, and it makes someone like me even more reticent. I was about to say something extremely stupid there. I was going to say but what I went through was nothing compared to what others have went through. And that is both true and the reason for making this video. Because whilst I certainly was never held down, I was certainly never forced, nothing like that happened. There were lewd comments made, there were lewd actions made, and it was done in jest. It was done as a joke, it was done as a laugh, as a gag, as a game. And I felt extremely uncomfortable. And I know, and that was coming on for sort of 25 years now. I know if I had complained, that I would have been out of a job, pretty much. Well, not so much that I would have been out of a job. I would have been told, "Oh, for fuck's sake, it was a bit of a laugh," and it wasn't for me. I'd only been in the job a couple of days, actually, a few days when that happened, a few weeks, a couple of months, all of that. It was the run up to Christmas and now afterwards, a couple of months. I was still really sort of finding my way around and sort of feeling the place out. And I know if I'd said anything, if I'd made an official complaint, I would have been told, "Oh, shut up! It was just a laugh. It was just the. It was just a laugh. For fuck's sake, grow a pair," or words to that effect. Completely unacceptable. But that was the mentality, and I think to some extent it still is the mentality. As the guy on Twitter sort of pointed out. Now he rightly called it for what it was, which was sexual assault. And I think that's the other thing. When people talk about sexual assault, they have a very specific image of what a sexual assault is. And a sexual assault, as a term, covers a wide spectrum of actions. Of which sort of lewd conduct and trying to lift up your kilt to see what's underneath is chief among them. You know, that's one part of the spectrum of what sexual assault is. It doesn't involve aggression and violence in that, you know, any sort of physical sort of holding down or anything like that. But it's still a sexual assault. I think I think it's something that I've been very reluctant to talk about because it happened, and then, you know, again, it's one you don't want to talk about because it was again, people would just say, "Oh, for fuck's sake, it was just a joke," but it wasn't a joke. I didn't find it funny then. And I really don't find it funny now. And I wasn't going to talk about it or anything else, and then I saw this Twitter post, and, you know, I thought, 25 years and nothing's changed. Would have been about 25 years, actually. 25 years last month. 1997 that happened. Yeah, quarter of a century. I still think about it. Um, So I think there needs to be parity. I think we need to get off of this idea that sexual assault is one specific thing that only happens to one specific gender by one specific gender. I think we need to acknowledge that um, trying to lift up a man's kilt to get a good look under when he's not wanting to you to, that's sexual assault, guys. Um, and we need to understand it, and we need to accept it, and we need to deal with it.